Page 248. As X are stare eye of a Y eye appearing and gazing it out, now as Ka, now no, turning, projecting out, as existing of it in any complete de-arcness. A complete role playing out now, turning Abalak around, asking of it why as Ka, now knowing Ivre or anybody, any or everybody. A being of awareness still now, he turned in toward a twisting, into a appearing, as knowing out of it as existing, finding himself a being still in the first place, that individual, or that indivisible invisibility of anybody merely appearing and gazing it, more realized, he radiated now black around and still with intent of turning out as Ka now, knowing, projecting a gain of anything through her eyes, ABCs of a being seen supersonically, supernaturally as thoughts of any or any everybody thinking body, aware of appearing, engaging it out of a NYI, still awareness of a being seen, that indivisible invisibility, our eye fracting now in that black mirror sees Eska knowing out of it a zinging supersonic person, a freestanding supersonic person, her himit, potential still in the first place, holding a polarity in one left hand, now as Ka, as cause, as thoughts, any eye, opening with intention of a being seen, awakening, Aten. At attention, a by Narai, beaming out inward, anybody, any thinking, etc. Now, a knowing out of it supernaturally as any thoughts of a being seen in any or every body. Then it's now about realizing freedom. Freedom, baby. He mused as Ka, knowing, projecting. Freed freedom now, freedom forever, freedom of our y'all eyes, zinging. Now, as Ka, as cause. Any knowing, projecting out of it anybody. Indivisible, invisibility now, as Ka now, knowing it out of it, informas everybody, ignoring still a being, seeing that, her here now as any thoughts of it projecting out in her eye of everybody, a Y-eye, appearing it from above as below, of a being seen, a freestanding of a being seen, eye of the hermit, y'all turning a black around of it, a Y-eye of a being still seen in the first place, indivisible invisibility as any individual. That's why nothing or anything, any thinking of a being appearing in formation here, in her eye appearing and gazing it out still in every eye, effect of it. She now moved like a fluid, Christina finding interstices in free space, a free-flowing electromagnetic field feeling out, touching on any touch of it, then the merely disappearing at black around into a Y-eye of reality, asking of it why, itty bitty, by that why, ask now, knowing felt feelings, field of view of why, out as actual now, ask knowing out of it why, denying itself, here, out feeling, out in her eyes, a black around, echoing, touching touch of it a untouchability, a untouchability of it supersonically or phonographically ABCs, inward as known out of it, now any appearing of it information, a stillness of it merely mirrored a while in the first place. Now he found himself indivisible, invisibility of drawing the fluid contours of the figure eight, a legged, armed, handed, headed, a seer of a hand moving with the eye of the seer, denying out of her eyes as anybody, etc. Invisibility still as any thoughts of a goddess, to be seen literally, y'all, a Y-I out of it in supernaturally, as existing in any inward memory information of it still, are y'all, I-itty. Reality, why, y'all asking of it, why, ways of Ivre, I, being still in any why I of y'all, merely appearing and gazing it out of it in any word, as any untoward manner of it as X, y'all, he mused. Now he watched his hand executing a rapid flurry as X's, now by the hundreds, patterning, a smattering, a shading of contours of thigh, hip, or nipple, disappearing in light or shade patterns as X's. Or are ye ideating a perceived at black around by a Y aisle of a Y hermit as yet or why you are, why still freestanding in the first place, shining out in her eyes, zapping now a corrosive breath out into her. I, y'all, black mirror sees supernaturally, y'all, as thoughts, reflects in word now around any knowing of it in theory, in the or why of me or you as a curving or occurring of a being seen by as cosmic memory reflection of it in her I will. Her Ivre way of carrying, carrier, wave will of intent, of any urge here, her eyes, ion energy, even to horizon, mirror sea of mercy, evil a being seen now, appearing, disappearing of it on purpose. Kali Ma's purpose of Eve will, a mission of admission or submission, adding or subtracting. Why? Why, y'all? Why are you or me or you still indivisible invisibility now merely y'all appearing? Information as any thoughts of itting, fitting in word in that indivisible love with intent of appearing, a twigsting, a two in a singular awareness of a being seen now in me or you, asking of it why, a now knowing out as thoughts of it in cosmic memory. Christina continued turning her eye of everybody in fluid motion, as though drawing him in her eye motion of his, drawing out of her eye Zion now. With y'all that feeling it, feeling in a word freedom of it, feeling, fielding love supremo, it's pouring out of you or me like a wildcat Texas gusher. More's in her eye as cosmic con, she, us, and essay now to be here in her eyes on a mirror age. Aquarius lion, as sphinx of it, a devouring those unwilling or unable to, our eyes solve that riddle. Our eye denial of man as opposite a lion. A polarity of supernatural memory, attention now, a binary I, zany thoughts of Ivre body, as a hookah de luca. Our eye appearing and gazing it out, beaming, a beaming, Ja or Y light, igniting, on the other hand, Ja, Jasus liberation in the word freedom awareness, igniting a playing out of it in any roles of the arcness easy. Zapping rock and roll electric synapses, any thoughts of it here in her eye, hearing out as X pressuring. G's us in sound waves through immaculate conception, imagination. Mirror sees potential, black Christos, Jesus Christos, in front, behind, to the right, to the left, above, below, and projecting y'all around. Projecting it now as ka, knowing it out in denial of it. Moore found himself in word now, turning, melting away into one indivisible awareness of our eye being seen, appearing, and gazing it out. A while of now as ka, now knowing that as cosmic being. Then in that proverbial powerful blink of eye, of it here in her eye of Ivre body, her eye, appearing in two hands, the polarity of positive negation of that indivisible invisibility. Y'all as X, pressed under gravity of G's, us in that Ivre eye of a being seen, in the word our eye flecting, ablac Christ, quantum mirror, see na, as a body y'all around, a Bible, a buca de luca, a God, a gold, essay to be, to perceiving word function of funny action, often of 10, a binarized body of Christ, Karizi of that mercy. The sublime profundity of the dialectic revealed the presence at attention, gods of the good old and new days, the God gold essay to perceive literally all in at attention, seen out by now binary eye inward out in formation of it. Olden days of war, art being man as the natural neuroses of appearing by denial of a being still in the first place, that invincible, indivisible, Hermes of it now as ka, knowing as cosmic memory, as the thoughts of it in Hermes, supersonic singing silence of a being seen in any eye, indivisible in the first place, invisibility, now as turning ablack around, asking of it why, a knowing one in two, twisting as X, adding duplicating duplicity, a binary eye body, a loopy roll to play in one positive direction out, ablack around negation of any situation, now as ka, knowing it, out of it in a while, turning ablack around that Marai ground, into or out of it. Page 250. Supernaturally, as thoughts of appearing out information superimposed, appearing and gazing it now as ka, occurring, projecting into or out of it, A being still motionless, freestanding in the first place. A why-eye, stare-eye story. We all a wheel race turning a black around everybody now as ka. Knowing out of it, projecting it y'all around by mirrored eye of a being, seeing appearing it out supernaturally as thoughts of a being still in the first place, merely mirrored out, superimposed in word. Then, whammo bammo, y'all turn 180 back to black, still a being seen in a wily while of power a zany beside whole a y as exual. That precise cycle within the eternally y'all roll, that as coming a black around any 24-hour into y day of it. A y as x per I in scene turning as cosmic a black around now, knowing out here in her eyes a singular E-ray body. Any God essay to be in word as thoughts of it, letterly, y'all, art of a being seen out of it, out in word formation, supernaturally superimposed, as any thoughts of it of a y-I hermit, yada, iota first supersonic singular power of mouth or is organe of a sound presence. A being seen in this still now supersonic, supernaturally superimposed out in word that anybody awareness of a being he mused with a profound shudder, turning back to a black around now as God, knowing out that awareness of a being before he knew any inward knowing out of a y-I being, seen in word otherwise. Seen in word otherwise. The irony of any life beginning under tons of iron, rolling over suspended on rubber encased air. The mere idea of beginning anybody by ascending, of a being by a now why, are ideating, perceiving a why, I ignoring as con knowing, still beaming, a being seen in the first place, brought a chuckle. There in their eye he found himself now, a being still indivisible in invisibility, a being still in the first place. Before informed as thoughts of a being seen borne out in name alone, he seemed to be slipping loose of the noose. The self as knowing, projecting chains of thoughts, of inward captivity, broke up on the assuredness of her eye appearing and gazing it out, wielding the dialectic. Evil play a trickery. She the corrosive breath of life, Christina offered with a smile. The effing that tears apart any wily wireless calming before her eyes of every body. In a being beaming as thoughts in our eye, flecting our eye, flexion of that appearing and gazing it out of invisibility. A being in the first place, perpetually pervasive awareness of right visual, old timeless word freedom brain. A being now virally transmitted out as sound waves means dissolution of any appearing out of it. We all may turn and black around any time. Any y-I being seen still in the first place indivisible invisibility, now a y-eska now knowing our eye, y'all, of a being seen before any falling off, alleged eska now know a turning knowing out, letterly, y'all, information, understanding the spelling of ABC's inward captivity, out, inward captivity. A long time coming, Psi hope our invigorating now, vigorous asking of it why I knowing going black around out of a why. I as X adding duplicating by appearing it from her eyes, a gamma waves. That in her eyes, a E-ray eye waves, predominantly indivisible. Invisibility we all could turn in the blink of eye into or out of that a black around. That a black around of a Mare around the race of the wheel of fortune or misfortune of a singular bliss. Bliss denied as means or power turning out invisibility, merely mirrored in word as sorrow right now a black around any knowing it. Felt, feeling, any field of you of a why I appearing and gazing it out now, asking of it why, as knowing it, defined in word. ABCs of it being seen in word formation. Here in her eye of everybody of ABCs, letterly all along, merely mirrored in word formation, a being seen in the black eyes of everybody before beginning appearing and gazing it out in a word, more definitely felt the scene of a being in her eyes, zapping ting of it. Bang, 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 she nigh black eye appearing and gazing it out of everybody instilled with intent of intentionally ignoring a being seen still full in the first place. Fully, full, complete. Darkness, now to be turning a black around, echoing, projecting lack. It, no, in lack of it. Necessitating a begaining of it. Y'all appearing it out of a why I be being seen, a cunning, deceitful craft. A wordship. Worship of a being seen merely mirrored as mirage. Mirages explained. A complete darkness of it now, turning a black around, any role flattened out, as expressed, press a D to be perceived as a pages of her image. I stare I story buka. The blacks of her eyes as expanded, turning y'all black around till he blinked light into his appearing, gazing it out of it. It out of it. A why-eye potential of any appearing, gazing it out. Now asking of it why, as ka. Knowing out of it in toward a twisting into appearing in me or you. Within Ka's cosmic memory drawing with ink as letterly all in word. Then still now, as ka knowing out of it that indivisible invisibility now, a why-eye appearing and gazing it out, inward way of intending funny money action function of any mirror, why now black mirrored, a why-eye potential now. In other words, gangster of love, Warrena's virus turns time in reverse, R.I. verse, a story, a star eye of appearing and gazing out of a beaming lack by turning now into twisting, timing aska now, knowing of it a black around, asking of it a why eye appearing and gazing it freestanding, with a polarity on hand as a hermit, a polarity as any a 10 binary eye, deating by mere appearing and gazing it out in word a while, a tricky busyness in a blinking of a eye to perceive a deceit of any appearing of it information to begin with. Eye of a being seen in word back to black. Within a word that I or I am is a beaming it. A beaming it out now as cause of a knowing denial of it. A being seen still in the first place. Christina gave him a look of longing for her flesh to be touched merely with the eye. The sorcerer at the source or why of him realized any touching touch of her eyes meant instant death. But then he always was a sucker for it. Death, that is. Still appearing of it disappearing, merely appearing and gazing it. I gotta tell Cassandra before we all turn black. Mort cracked himself up, despite or because of the gravity of her words. The gravity of them pouring over the inward sadness of denying it. A tragic, magic irony of Iron Age awareness with that. A being seen funny a while, at the same time feeling a sharp pang of sadness. Now he was knowing not home beyond awareness in a word freedom of a being seen still in the first place. Finding himself a means of a meaningful of the bittersweet life we all turn out or into finding, while DNA denying a bliss, a sweet sorrow blissfully denying it. We all turning it supersonically, racing in toward a twisting into a appearing of it, a memory of me or you, appearing, a gazing it out of singular eyes. If that iron irony don't crack y'all upside the head, try falling in love with two women, he mused. One love must be one woman, or why not? One man has a mind with or without a womb, G or D. Still, he found the professor in words as zapping as sound waves combing through the tangle of him. Page 252. Darkmoor, zany thoughts of it, literally all imagined. Imaginary image of it. It now as cause, knowing denial of it as any thoughts for mass. A mass of quivering blood and guts, still in her eyes, zapped by desire, passion of divine. Warrena's scheme seems to offer a magnificent adjustment for y'all, man, as eyes of mankind or I. Our I verse, y'all, of a not I stare I story freestanding of a being seen potentially holding polarity in a closed left hand. Our eye light, on the other hand, open. Left eye stare-eyeing Jesus in the first place of her me as a hermit. A being still in the first place, indivisible invisibility of y'all, supernatural, supersonic universe of it superimposed as a thoughts of a hookah, the Lucas, cause, literally, y'all, appearing and gazing it out, merely mirrored, appearing information of it in word. But Do you put new wine in old skins? Christina asked. Maybe then, on the other hand, Warrena is only accelerating the inevitable. Awaken a being seen, merely appearing, engaging in awareness of a being seen in a word freedom. A being seen still in the first place. Paruma. Paramasomya. Same supreme. A why appearing and gazing out now, asking of it why, as ka, knowing any atomic AY being seen before you. Merely mirrored in any name you all die, supernaturally as the thoughts of a goddess say, to be literally y'all art, being seen in a word, are I born to death. Death in word. In the why eye of any inward beholder, or while dying. She added, taking a seat back on the high chair. He saw in her eye now a field of waves, luminescence, quivering fibers of awareness information, awareness of a being still in the first place, despite any inward RIL information appearing out of it. Call it Jasus. Realizing Jah liberates. Liberates now in a word freedom, even as a knowing it in word. Liberates even now as in a denial of it. Picking up on a being seen still, that first supersonic person present singularity of that awareness, that I of I am is liberation. Liberation from any a now why y'all merely appearing and gazing it out inward, turning into or out of it as ka, knowing any situation of it appearing. A being seen still a freestanding. We all are still in a why appearing and gazing out in that turning neuronically hardwired and fired to elukaing only as thoughts of it, appearing information in word, a why now as ex edding, duplicating in the duplicity of me or you in memory. More saw in her eyes circular, circumstantial, circumferential appearance, information of appearing, a gazing it out, a luminous existing, appearing now as kind of it why as ka knowing y'all, in toward a twisting in twelve appearing information of a figure 8. Y'all infinity. Infinity. The appearing of it as a hookah deluca. One seen 'twas a 10. A binary radiating now, perceiving, as ka knowing, turning out of it, then the na, then he found his hand tracing the figure 8 back into a twisting Taurus torso, legs spread, bent at the knee, head falling on chest, lifting of it, she now spoke, her eyes as drawing on him. A hermit, our eye of them, any memory of it supersonically broadcast, any why eye appearing, gazing it out. Yet, when you consider our plight, Warrena or no Warren, we all are y'all still turning into a being seen faced with this Ezek's death mask. Death is the specter on the face of it. That specter is the royal Uraeus or sacred, aspecting of it a Taurus, opening of mouth as organ of speech. A by opening mouth inhales and exhales first breath. Then race is on. The chase after your tail of your tall tale begins by sending the connection of it. Yet we all, in turning after, may find ourselves complete. A final inward liberation may be found, realizing, appreciating ABCs of a being seen now, inward of the dialectic debate, still well aware of a being seen indivisible invisibility in any mere duplicity of a why, nah, me of it, any tale of a being seen merely the eve race, same body with intent of playing out any role or role of it as cause, a death or disappearance comes only to the mirroring of a being seen. A being seen, our eye, reflected in our eye, fraction of it. It now turning out as knowing of it, projecting a while as any denial of it as thoughts of appearing, disappearing. Still awareness of a being seen in the first place, indivisible, invisibility of any individual. In her eyes, ionic words came in a hearing luminescence, translucent sound waves, means of any meaningful of it, that indivisible love still felt, instantaneousness. In freestanding, any eyes on us, he mused, a being seeing us, awareness, just us, awareness of a being guiding Jesus, a power of pressure of disregard, of a black Pasaiho as cause of it now, ask knowing of it why I of everybody appearing and gazing it out, now asking of it why I spy, inward any appearing of it in formation, in word. The dialectic debate raged in any memory not stifled by indifference or apathy, more realized now, still as God knowing out of it. Why keep denying that, y'all, as knowing out of it, he wondered. Death as indulgence? A warrior cannot brook any indulgence, especially death. Typically, we all turn to indulge in it sooner or later. It's the story of my life. A warrior will take on that invincible enemy, capturing that brief moment that he succeeds with the clarity, power, and knowledge enough para un hombre de conocimiento, a man of knowledge who now knows a being seen complete in the first place, a being seen of it that cannot be added to nor taken from, more felt a flash of melancholy, strange longing for something that never was, something merely mirrored in word thoughts of imagining it. Was he longing now for knowing longing in the first place? Death, as we all in our turning, ask knowing projecting it as denial of it, also denial of liberation. Ask knowing liberation. Thus, liberation may not be necessity or necessarily desired. At attention captivated now in any mirrored memory of it, turning into, as knowing out of it, the DNA, denial life, understanding the inward spelling of alpha beta, anyone may turn into a thin king of themselves, appearing of it, born, and therefore dying. Thinking of it born is in name alone, in not me alone. Then typically indulge in the seeming futility of appearing only in a while, then quickly disappearing. An indulgence leading to apathy or indifference of epic proportion. That's a measly thin king of it now turning any aska, no knowing out of it a denial. In toward a twisting, in toward appearing as any thoughts of it, projecting a being seen in name or denial of every body are radiating of it. A being seen appearing it out in word in her eyes of every body. In that we all turn into any role, or role of it emitting complete dearkening loops that begin to be perceived precisely by imaginary sendings of it now as polarity. As a leap into a black body instilled with intent of ABCs, of a being seen, a gain of it, that indivisible invisibility of any individual, by awakening of it, appears in sound waves. Page 254. Appearing out in her eye, personically playing any or every body rolls on and on and on ad infinitum. Y'all's heaven or hell falls under the veil of it in her eye of everybody are ideating. A black psi whole body, sleepy black death is only a temporary analgesic until we all in our turn are I born. A birth is any thoughts of it awakening, wearing another mask, a masking of it as any another veil of tears, a lack of it into one race, a black around the karmic wheel of samsara sorrow of a bliss denied. In that our role as human being we all turn, roll eternally, y'all. Warren's brilliant research projects a viral plane of it supersonically out in her eye of every body as exploiting a black body quantum gravity. A Jesus at black around microwave our ideation. Loops of a YI appearing and gazing it at that now. A Y now as exposed as a YI appearing and gazing it. A now any overstanding overseer appearing and gazing it at that. That it is a BCs of a being seen merely now appearing in words denied supersonically as any thoughts of it knowing out of it understanding any spelling of it. A denial. DNA aspiration by gravity weight of waiting to die opened a doorway ray of such an event horizon line which no scientist wanted or dared about crossing over. Yet, still merely awareness of it turning back to black. These last words set the hair standing on the black of Darkmoor's neck. Till now, till debating why or why not, why are you no longer waiting as thoughts now in toward a twisting into a being one into which two must die. He continued to let words from his unconsciousness flow out personically with the ink trailing silently across the paper. Then you must ask, Christina said, which dies, as X or a Y. A Y or Y now is any supernatural, but silent thoughts of it as X, or why are I allizing it? Indivisible invisibility of a YI, or YI, mem, me, M, mind, or as X, adding, anding, duplicating of it, appearing in man as mind, or Y, a Y, memory of it as X. Got that, cowboy? She now added with a stretch and a twist of muscle and bone. Cowboy? I ain't no stinking cowboy, but stinking cows have been my nearest neighbor for a spell. So, is this really about dying or propagating? Eh, Professor? Moore replied, feeling this double-sided conversation somehow going his way. Why, I am confessing you all this talk of dissolution is turning me on to a solution of consummation to the situation. Wait for it, she returned, still holding a facsimile of her original pose, twisting on the high chair. Her reply smacked it hard back onto his court. Nothing to do but wait. The silent, word-free hold on a visual artist could easily extend to infinity or beyond, he chuckled to himself. Silence? I'll give you the grave. Gravity. The word slipped from his tongue without his knowing. Christina turned to meet his gaze. He felt swept into her attention, her focus sphinx-like, on a beyond only conceivable by still gazing out over 10,000s of dazzling years. Watching man as a lion, waiting for the equinoxial alignment of man as memory of a lion. An imaginary lion between appearing and gazing it, or appearing it at it. As Ka turning, yearning, burning, solar fire out here in her eyes of everybody. As our eye of the Sphinx, a white eye of a being seen merely appearing and gazing at a white eye, stare eye of it, now as X, a unknown of it, in any denial of it, at it, supernaturally, as any mirrored inward thoughts of it, it now a black around echo of a man as memory of a lion turning, a yearning, a burning of it, a burying of water, a first mirror of it still in the first place, our eye fraction of it, Aquarius, Leo, 12,000 years, our eternity, as king of it, why anybody appearing of it, merely appearing and gazing it, a sphinx appearing it, gazing it, our eye turning that black around now as Ka, knowing out of it in word, the man is mind or animal. Boogie, baby. Artist now drawing amusement. Talk to me, baby. You be the kind voice. Moore heard the words from his voice miles away in 3D. That's the weight. Gravity. That's Dave. Gravedigger Dave. I worked with him in the largest cemetery in the South, Metairie, Louisiana. One of our poor estates with one of the coolest names. Spent a few years in the Crescent City, New Orleans, drawing portraits on Jackson Square in the French Quarter. Got a little strung out on bad drugs and good women. Took a break to find myself working with the black man. Something about cemeteries. Mostly bodies there, below sea level, were interred in crypts above ground. I worked on the crypts cleaner van. Dave was there for them that was planted in the ground. Even rich cats sold on hermetically sealed double caskets that still leak, as it, them, or us, quick enough, turned to dust. Debris, lengths of bone, femur here, forearm there, poking out of bits of wasted fabric. It was our job to prepare for an internment, clean out casket debris and compact remains to make room for a spanking new coffin. Typically, a crypt contains space for several coffins, so depending on size or death rate in a family, determined when a space needed to be cleaned out, compacted. Amazing how quickly them bones can go back to dust. It makes gold and jewels jump out. I saw some pilferage, but there was only one real grave digger. One day I went on my own, out to where Dave was digging a couple graves. I'd been studying him pretty close at lunchtime when all the crews would gather in a cheesy lunchroom, in other words, the shop garage. Dave always cracked a toothless smile at me when I came around. Maybe it was my name or something of a smell of death about me. Like I was coming at him across a great divide, certainly a racial one, yet the color of skin never factored in. Dave was looking pretty haggard that day. It had rained hard all morning, the ground was heavy digging. So after lunch I went out and spelled that old man. I dug a man's grave 6 feet down into the ground. Digging that grave in the rain and gloom of overcast sky, it felt like I was digging my own grave. Sure enough, Dave took sick from working in that lousy weather, but he knew there was nothing but for him to keep digging those graves till he fell in one, his own self. That's a real gravity. Dave never dug another, as he passed away shortly after taking sick. Now, there is a grave story. Black man in Jim Crow era South, or privileged white boy in post-war segregated North. The gravity of any life or man with or without a womb, or why now do anything only to end the same way. That is the weight. The gravity of waiting now in a while, living in the constant shadow of dying, stalked by death, dancing with death, appearing, disappearing, a shadow that falls over and is of everybody. Page 256. In the cunning, deadly deceit of you or me appearing out as existing a while in a being still in the first place, indivisible invisibility, ask king of it why, as Ka, knowing out of it any appearing, information now only disappearing later when nobody knows. We all roll a black around still now, as Ka, knowing out of that anybody, any thinking of it, etc. A unknown shadowing us, alternating moment after moment. Ironically, science demands objectivity, demanding any appearance of it, equivalent to any denial of it. Appearance, bias, knowing out of it, anybody, etc. A knowing of it, a wild DNA, a denial of a being seen invisibility still appearing and gazing it in the first place. Yet Science demands gravity of objectivity by a feverish, fervent, vigorous, knowing denial of recognizing, let alone realizing it. Now, ask knowing of it merely any mere potential you now, or y'all a being of it as that still subjective reality, only potentially appearing reflected as inward thoughts of our eye fraction of immutable light. Thus, any appearance offers a paradox of a scientist denying themselves as thoughts of it, to create as thoughts of it, in any word, information. Now, to know out of it otherwise as X, a while still a being, singular, indivisible, invisibility, why I of you of why or you or me, etc. Thus we all spin into confusing the mirror image with a still invisibility of a why I of a being seen merely appearing and gazing at it at it. Now as knowing out of it a supersonic black around echo body, as any inward thoughts informing of it appearing a while, appearing information a while, a being seen still in the first place, any seer sight seen in plain sight. Me or you in her black eye of Eve body, a womb of potential of it as cosmic memory, appearing of it in toward disappearing black into one indivisible invisibility of y'all, of you, or me, more bursting, me or you, dying or propagating? He thought as if dying to find out. As long as we all are Ska now, no knowing a wheel of it turning that black around. Into or out of anybody, any thin king of it, etc. That is the weight, Christina offered. The gravity of the loop, the role playing out like our planet. A plan edding heareth. A supersonic is cosmic plan edding, duplicating that heareth, echoing her cosmic micro waves, black around into or out of any or Eve ray body, turning, churning, burning, yearning of it in word, in diurnal cycles, day or night, moment after moment, appearing as any thoughts of it actually disappearing, while merely turning into or out of a black around of it, an echo of it in light or shadow of that singular invisibility of our only begotten, sun shining out of her black eye, psi hole of Eve ray womb, invisibility, sacred, Jesus Christ, black eye of Eve ray body, offering potential gravity loops, inward beginning by sending ways of Eve will, her wave will, in her eyes of evil, a wave function of Eve ray body, a why I merely appearing and gazing it out, that Eve ray eye will of we all turning, churning, burning into or out of it, merely mirrored in word, her evil of appearing, disappearing, in toward a zero, only twisting in two, appearing as eight, me or you as cosmic memory, twisting in two, zero as 8, 1, 0, twisting in two, twirling that black around as ka, turning out of it, knowing, appearing, disappearing, black into or out of one complete darkness. Moore felt electricity raising hairs on his body. A certain exhilaration gladdened his heart now. Ask King of it why. Ask Ka now. Knowing out of it a liberation. In words of the dialectic debate. Liberation turning out Esca, knowing, ignoring it. ABCs of merely appearing, engaging it, or now appearing it out in word. Esca, now knowing out of it. Information of any inward memory bringing up y'all the troubles of the mind. Troubles of now any thinking of it. Esca, knowing it into appearing even a while. The crazy, cruel ride in a word ship craft. Any and why, mirrored why now, inward craft of denial. Any now, esca, knowing out of it anybody, anything, etc., appearing merely in word information. Now we all in turn, esca, knowing our ABCs of XYZs, merely appear it to disappear, still it. Of it still, he thought of it now. Now, a death, it seems, a death is the pickle of a life, Moore offered. Without awareness of death, everything seems trivial or so fleeting to endeavor indifference or apathy. As a death becomes the teacher or guide in this impermanence as existing in any word form, then the means of it is any meaning of it. The means of death as a wave function, as any motion. Jesus Christ, wave motion into or out of a black around of it. It, a being seen still in the first place, indivisible, invisibility, means meaninglessness beyond sheer wave function, of business for the sake of being busy. Moore felt a chord playing out a memory in a word freedom awareness of a being still in the first place. Indivisible, invisibility, now an echoing as Ka's microwave, a black around of awareness and memory as Ka knowing out of it anybody, etc. A prior eye, a word-free, untouched, unsullied awareness of it, of that indivisible invisibility, now a blackness prior to awakening, a gaining of it inward anybody, etc., at attention of it, a being seen still now, appearing it out, gazing it out into as Ka now, knowing of it in words, one mirage, black mirror, see as memory of it, a being seen, a gain, a black, a gain. A ping-ting as any thoughts of it had begun ringing in the black around of his wiring of it. Moore was learning of it in that debate between mere appearing or appearing of it. As similarly, he had learned his ABCs in the first place while a being seen run over by a Chevy panel truck. Learned to see ABCs, etc. in word informing of it. Learn to hear, etc., ABCs, informing it in word as Ka, knowing out of it personically. The sounds of it, the smell and taste of it, the touch of it. Y'all learned. A being seen merely appearing, gazing it now out as Ka, knowing of it anybody, etc., appearing information of it. A while out in her eyes, a black, crafty wordship, as X pressed out in her eyes a psi hole, any appearing it at it as X, y'all. In a knowing of it as sending back to black, Christina said with a smile. A beginning in word of it being seen in the first place now as sending of it without. A beginning knowing out of it, a Y now sending of it as X, as exiting, duplicating without our realizing it, without realizing why. Christina gave with a long, slow smile. An endless loop of why potential means as any lifetime we all appear to turn into or out of a being seen of a why now appearing to gazing it out with gravity, pressure of intent, of intentionally ignoring of it as that's why. Blasting a why appearing and gazing it out a while DNA a projection of denial of a why I will. A will of a why I merely appearing and gazing it out into any appearing information of it. It seems we all turn into or out of appearing, gazing it out of awareness of a BCs, of a being seer, seen in sight. A being seen now turning that black around as leap black into a consciousness. A be ending our eye, all of a being seen of complete darkness. Todos. Back DRI cause and the. Page 258. Complete darkness. Todos cause endings. As to everything, everybody, as thinking of it, perceived in awareness, whirling roll of it, the jelly roll as y'all, of it, or a role playing out in anybody as zany thoughts of it, a beginning in words still, a being seen, invisibility of any point of you, invisibility, often, of 10, a by now, RI being mirroring in words zapping out of a being in the first place now, out as any inward thoughts informing of it. Thus there is only our realizing in a why I have a beholder of a being, you to find, to discern, to pick up on complete freedom from falling over or understanding that inward loopy spelling of complete darkness. You called? Moore retorted again without forethought as he found himself lost in the visual energy, invigorated by drawing deep into that word freedom, pooling sea as of any artist, being seen in the torrent of words spilling off her tongue, jetting electric inward charges bursting the levees of his self-conceit. The defenses of his electromagnetic felt feeling field of view, now, now, knowing you or why. He found in her eyes on a why speak contagious in his mind, or why in the or why. Opening the spigot of his left verbal mode, released too many words to describe that place, that zapping of a being in the first place. Now, synapse as spark, as arc, between beginning, as sending of it in a word, as a positive transmission of a being, now a black around any knowing out of it. In word, a meaningful mean, by means merely mirrored of it, as synapse transmitting supersonic, supernatural thoughts of it superimposed in memory, a being completely complete, wordless, formless, he mused. He fell black into the serene silence, at attention being seen drawing on his untouched, word free right brain. Awareness of it. We all roll in three modes, Christina offered. Three boons of self-mind or a why-I consciousness of it. Yet the two primary modes or bodies, being purely subjective dream or deep sleep bodies, must be ignored by a purely objective quantum physics. What of it if we all turn out of and black around into it, yet a being seen appearing and gazing it now in toward a twisting of it into mirror bodies of it appearing while DNA? In a why-I of a being seen now as existing by denial, as ka now knowing, turning out of it anybody, etc. Ignoring of it ignites the same positive transmission of a being seen still now out of it in any turning a black around, as ka now knowing, projecting denial of that. A being seen, y'all, that must be disregarded in the first place at y'all cost of now not paying attention to it. That mojo go black around complete the darkness. That science by vigorous knowing, a why-I opening as cosmic memory. A vigorous denial of now as ka now, no knowing out of it, a being salutary I in the first place. As causality of quantum gravity, roles of complete darkness play out in hidden, fully closed singularity consciousness. Vigorous DNA denial of awareness of a being seen indivisible invisibility fills 1/3 of any life cycle. As leaping black and forth across that event horizon, Eve emptying our eyes on science of scientist misses the boat on purpose of a polarity. Our, in the one hand, polar purpose, while DNA, a wily while of denial, merely even Eve now as sending waves to perceive as now turning in toward a twisting into a appearing a pairing by denial of it. We all may turn our attention back to a black as sacred, holy black around a whole, picking up on a being still, in the first place, remaining indivisible invisibility of any individual. Call me or you yada iota that I am is now. The cosmic comic purpose hidden or clothed in a being, seeing a black power of opening a psi whole of her eyes of everybody. She don't want to get naked? It's so ironic that art models, who legally must pose completely naked to avoid pornography laws, find ultimate freedom in their nakedness. Freedom from the neuroses of hiding their privates, while at the same time suggesting them with sexy threads. Completely naked is completely natural. Drawing the body, snatch, and all reveals pure appreciation for y'all that we are. A man drawing enough poon gains a detachment of realizing it as the source. The source. Now I'm beginning to pick up on why old farts go sniffing around young coos. They ain't looking to get in so much as looking for a womb, a way back out. What you were saying about gravity loops. The closer we all turn to the end, the closer we all turn to the beginning. Jesus! We all turn inward into or out of ABCs of a being seen still in the first place. Moore found himself chattering away, the sound as sound of her voice, meaning as zapping means of her audio vocal range, from guttural to labial. He remembered the old German woman teaching him grammar mechanics of the voice as organ, vibrating, chorded organ, including throat, heart, and soft palate, tongue, teeth, and lips. Grammar as sound, healthy way of waves. That old German woman could make boring didactic delirium intriguing just by modulating her voice. Mrs. Gerhardt, still one of Moore's favorite comedians. Christina Shaughnessy was a master modulator. Make funny as sound serious or vice versa, y'all, by modulating the calibrating, he mused, still watching her, watching hand, tracing mass and contour, liquid fire in a cradle of Maz, here out in her eye of Ivre body. Where have you been all my life, darkness more? I think that I am now in love with you, or my memory of you. As X, as you stretching beyond normal parameters. That's because at 2 years young, me being initiated into awareness of the Overmind's voice, saving my butt, keeping me aware of a being seen still in the first place, now a being me, while run over by a panel truck. Believe me, I'm just the most Midwestern mediocre guy. I should be working at a tire shop in East Bumfuck with a serious drug and alcohol habit. One of those hapless guys, cigarette smoking themselves to death by inches, one leg at a time. It was the intercession of that voice and the instantaneous awareness of a being of it still in the first place that allows me to be here. Now, as any inward thoughts of it out around, a knowing out of it in formation, then finding myself fully able to recognize my surroundings, my sister, my mother, my father. That initiated my inward path leading to you now. Make me realize the nature, often, of a being of it, y'all. That voice unleashed a fire that kept burning, y'all, my bridges behind, leaving me no choice but to keep plowing, mostly incoherent, on into a unknown. Sunshine or shitstorm. Hell, I guess in that respect, even Corner has served me well. Page 260. Could say he shot a few horses out from under me. Damn! Now I know I've done too many drugs, I start thinking that way. So I got one question. Why? Why is that friggin' old boy dogging us? Corner or Warren or the voice in your head? Christina asked as she stretched out in a way he could only see as provocative. The muscles of her legs flexed and corded from hips to toes, pudendum pivoting forward. That reminds me where I was going about earlier about her, Dark added. Mother Nature. Ma's nature. In her eye of Ivre body, hidden, clothed as it were in complete darkness. Her eye of Ivre eye body, Ma nature, man, Ure, Ivre body experienced directly over a third of our lives of a being still in a singular blissful blackness. Bam! It just hit me. What? She asked, continuing to slowly stretch and gyrate her completely naked body. Moore found he had to put her in soft focus by squinting his eyes in order to concentrate on his point. The real significance of my ET experience, in that I am recalling experiencing a naked singularity, Moore replied. It may sound crazy anticipating that encounter for 10 or 12 years or longer, heck, probably since the beginning of any beginning. When opening that door, finding there, y'all, a being cosmic beaming awry at me. Then finding myself in the presence of awareness of it in the first place, now out in a wily, wild, Eska, now knowing of it wielding a craft. The craft that I'm realizing now, a word ship of a being seen, appearing and gazing it. Out of it now, interdimensional worlding wordship of a colored light spectrum. Just before coming closer, as it were, that I'm finding myself lost in a field of a being seen still today, now, then, singularity. Disappeared as a being seen, indivisible invisibility. Disappeared in an awareness of a singular singularity. Being seen of a pervasive, cool, warm blue light. Our why appearing, a gazing it, pervading of it, pervasive, indivisible invisibility, like that, pervasive, like that soaking darkness of sleep. Pervasive, stillness of a being, awareness of a boundless moment after momentum of a being seen, appearing and gazing at eyes, closed or open. In that I am is a being seen still in the first place, a naked, open awareness of a singular, indivisible invisibility of it. It is possible for anybody to disappear in that nakedness. Anybody still of a being merely mirrored a while, DNA as turning the naked potential of it for appearing information appearing. Still, indivisible invisibility of a being seen in the first place. Now appearing, gazing it out of any thinking as cause of turning, as knowing, projecting supernatural, supersonic wave rays, man as mind of it in memory, superimposed in the or why, merely mirrored, merely, y'all, supersonically, supernaturally superimposed. But don't get me started. Some folks talk to me one time, say, yeah, we all want to hear about your ET encounter, your close encounter of the first kind. As recounting the tale, then I could tell by their expressions of that let down vibe that I wasn't translating the cosmic comic feeling of it, fielding it. So I never spoke of it again till now. But when you get a handle like mine, it's a fire that gets in your hair, gets in your scalp, and down into your neo and mesocortex. Like I said, the encounter was like coming home to an interdimensional now, as cosmic comic, as ka now, knowing out, oh, my home of now unknown, turning out of a being seen still in the first place. A being of it still in a place of now as ka now, turning out of it a black or blue, supersonic, inward as supernatural thoughts of a being of anybody, etc. Moore found himself a being now as ka knowing projecting out of it that as king of it Y, as cosmic microwave, black around supersonic singular memory potential of it out here in her eye of everybody, a being here in her eye are radiating, perceiving a blackness, indivisible invisibility of every eye body appearing, gazing it out of a black around, as cos microwave at black around, echoing it now as zany inward thoughts of a knowing out of it anybody, any thinking of it, etc. Then the any urgent energy appearing in her eye, appearing and gazing it out in word, in formas before his eyes. Y'all make a good point, artist. A naked singularity experience be good as good gets. In that I am beaming a feeling, felt, fielding your feeling of it as experienced. In the same way, we all, turning as king of it, why turn back to a black around into one disappearance of falling as leap black into one hidden or clothed in complete darkness singularity. Experiencing a why I appearing and gazing out in a naked singularity would be, well, a supernatural singular experience. You know, it's like learning, in a way, it's like learning to ride a bike. Once you all get that balance point, it's yours for life. That moment recalled sweeps away any thinking of it, why passing before or since, as supercosmic synapse. In the shift of perspective that I am, at mean attention, between micro to macro, his craft or its wordship must contain our whole entire inward known universe. Then later, somehow, finding his craft tiny compared to Kali Ma's every eye body, her womb any potential deity to perceive it, adore it, captivated in a craft, a wordship, a worship sailing black mirror sea as ABCs of a being seen now out in here, her eye of every body, in her eye, her eye, her eye. In that we all turn back to a black around indivisible invisibility in plain sight of any seer, now playing out any role of a complete darkness, any infinity of it in toward a twisting into turning as ka, knowing out of it a being complete de-arc potential, turning out of or into anybody, etc., etc. Merely to perceive arcing of it itty around twiz awakening as toward any eye of that I am, as zany Wily'Em, the Wily'Em, igniting ignorance of it now as ka, knowing out of it anybody, etc. Why nobody or anybody is in here her eye of everybody? More offered, continuing to squint as the temperature rose, till sweat streamed from his temples and forehead. The DMT emitting from the first artist's eye in the middle of his head, illumine Christina's nakedness into a full spectrum of color chords echoing a mean decibel of its sound transduced, informing of it a wave ray body craft, a wordship as any denial, as ka, no knowing out of it. We all turn black in the quantum, or why now, Christina offered. Anybody with a black around intent of a being seen again, Intent now as cause of knowing out of it anything. Around projecting as ka now turning to ignoring of it. A why of that I am is appearing and gazing it out still in the first place. Why that wise man grieves not. Are y'all eyesing? Are y'all realizing behind any knowing denial of it, discerning a being seen in any appearing, gazing it, appearing information out as mere reflected reflection in word awareness of a being by name alone? Still in that I'm finding myself now carrying ovaries and uterus. A why being seen gaining weight of that quantum gravity is drawing us together. You or me as X, Zaz X. Her voice kept extending these tendrils to be snapped off. He found as words now tactile as sound waves, melting into receptors on his tongue. Page 262. Drops of sweat burning his eyes fell, staining the drawing paper with inky tears, creating ink as washes, a dissolution of a line between appearing, gazing it, or it appearing information against the white background he flashed. As sexual beings, we all turn, churn, and burn by co-ignition of propagation, and thus passionately fall under complete darkness, complete roles as the roles to be played. Why na ma? Why not pa? A paruma. And then, always ready to propagate, more answered without looking up from the pen, traveling over the white field of paper dotted and blotched with furry sweat drops. Still, he felt his hand quiver. He found it took all his willpower to keep from pulling her onto the bed. Man is mind, or why a one-track mind, she laughed. Do you think we all are turning to the end of compulsive biological drives? More than that, the end ideologies, mythologies, and belief systems as we all turn around into realizing are y'all eyes zinging as awareness of a being in the first place now out mirrored as ka knowing turning into of it anybody within word or our eye turning a black around a being a gain still complete indivisible invisibility of it without hour of over self-awareness of a being seen predominates still freestanding in the word freedom in the first place now as ka now out turning it out as any thinking of it why ivre I imagine out of it. So you don't want a baby? Are you asking me, or has someone else been putting ideas in your head? Moore shifted on the bed. Damn opium is wearing off. Can I do anything? I have to clear my head. Keep talking so I can keep my mind off the pain. Tell me about the stolen Tucanaman papyri. Oh, you do jump around. Want to change the subject? Tell me where you picked up the notion of making a baby. Oh, you mean besides y'all gyrating that thing and talking eggs and expectations, he asked with a frown. Oh, baby, look in the mirror. I'm sizzling in my juices here. Okay, so I got the word. You could say from a spirit guide or a station chief. One of those cats that assigns and debriefs a mission, if not in this world or this level in it, but one more real coming out in the overworld. Sounds a bit conspiratorial. I'm just an insider looking out or outsider looking in or whatever that I'm appearing to be now, seeing you, seeing me. More grin, feeling the love welling up inside. Then a glint of light coming off one of the overhead cameras caught his eye, stabbing him with a fearful pang. What kind of Frankenstein arises out from tombs and mummies and devious, devouring codgers with industrial strength like Warren? Reminds me of my childhood, late night, laid out in front of a snowy black and white television set watching those eyes of Boris Karloff, thinking they were scary but downright benign compared to those in the bipolar schizophrenic head of my ma. What I'm talking about is that psychosis of a mind unpredictably capable of murdering like that. He bore down with the pace and intensity of the drawing, losing her, then finding her in furious ink strokes. He felt his jaw tighten, glad to get his mind off of it as sex and back into the bigger picture. And those giant hands with the pegs, Christina added, walking over to retrieve her robe. The papyri are the real deal. A hieratic record of what could be a geopolitical religio blueprint to reset, reconfigure false paradigms, restore a divine plan based here on her, Mother Nature's way before her industrial rape. Some believe America to be a resurgent Egyptian civilization, what with all the pyramids, obelisks, and Tut fever. When the papyri came into my hands, that river of time poured into my heart until I thought surely it must burst. It's not bursting because that river's coming on through you. I felt it washing over from your gaze, from seeing you in the artist's singular eye, a eye, a beaming of it outward perceives that divine, our eye fracted in all you seeing, our retina of Christina. A whole black eye. Somebody may have stole the papyri, but they ain't gonna stole that river. Y'all, that effulgence of complete freedom. Freedom pouring through you is downright intoxicating. Moore offered, putting the finishing touches on the latest drawing. The papyri sound like traveling papers, the kind that are passed on so the next generation has a heads up on what's really happening. Consider this, Christina replied. The papyri come from the only tomb not looted out of hundreds that had been. Looted in antiquity, the body hardly cold. It is as if a lord put a finger on that one, even though the chamber had been entered twice. As if, y'all, for the sake of Alice, my great-grandmama, and her journey to Wonderland. That tomb contained the secret ID of the Mirror Ages, the revelation of Zep Tepi, of a being seen in the first place now, asking of it why, as Ka knowing out of it, turning information of a first time in space, as Ka now, asking of it why, a la Queen, K of that in which, appearing of it now a while, as zap, zipping, tripping, Zep Tepi. Sounds like Zippy the Pinhead. Now, no, I get that now with the S's. There's zapping electricity to Y dialectic speak that activates synapses. As king of it, Y, a la Queen, K of that in which, as X appearing of it, information as any appearing of it, information of it a while of that evil queen now as king of it, why, as God knowing, out of it any inward mirrored appearing information of it, here, out in her eyes of everybody. A black as a Psi whole body, more managed without cracking himself up. Y'all really cannot make this shite up, he chuckled. I can tell you because you understand why. I mean, you understand because you have realized it. Become aware in awareness of a being seeing it. It a why I being seen in you, seen out now, a knowing of it in word. It has realized you. A being now are y'all eyes, realized a being of it in a lifetime of alternating moment to momentum. A synapse reconnection of that disconnect between appearing in and disappearing out of it, turning in words as ka now, no, knowing, projecting it. Why, you have jumped on the ABC letter code train. Any words, why now, why you, now mere are I fraction of it, literally, y'all, as sound means of transmitting information, literally, y'all, a being in any word. As a why I thoughts inward, as ka now turning out, in their sound way a wave means any meaningful of it. Page 264. It, insight of here in her eye, per ivre, body seen, remains timeless, perpetually sacred. Beyond that inward being seems as though as thoughts of a being, to negate that indivisible immutability of a being it in the first place. Negates by merely all still invisibility now around, turned around, as cause, as ka now knowing, appearing of it out information as thoughts, in memory, mem or why of me or you. In the beginning is word, as sword, beginning slicing and dicing of it by opening mouth, organ, speaking out, in a word, bang, 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 banga, a being atinago, a being that has cosmic memory, often of ten, a being, ten, a binary binary, radiating a while now out in space-time of any being seen not, while DNA in that simple singular twist of fate of any denial of it, going, geez, us with gravity weight of waiting for death, by an now waiting for the ending of this dang shebang, a being beginning in any ABCs of it in a mere word. Okay. I can dig that as long as I don't think about it too much in word. In wordily, y'all. You're a word bird. A ba bird talking about the artist's eye and seeing what I've heard called Olam Abba. Olam Abba, the world to come. The world to come about of a being seen without as sword to as thoughts of it. By a god, I say to be literally all in word is superimposed, supernatural divide of that indivisible. To part a scene in word read scene, literally y'all now as zany thoughts of it by y'all, as an artist being a why I appearing and gazing it out now, as kind knowing turning out of it inward as existing, eyes across over, toward it now as cause now, knowing and toward a twisting into a denial of it as thoughts of L mode L, A, I. He felt uncharacteristically garrulous, outside his comfort zone. Normally, he held any inward chattiness in check. Christina's outpouring response to her public, to their need for an inward pathfinder, seemed a steep impasse overshadowing his years of minimal human speech. It freaked him out, but still he loved her, or her. You make them papers out like some kind of master plan, but will anyone out there give a good crap? The modern man, woman, man has little value for anything just a couple moments old, let alone ancient history. It seems we all turn around mere busyness of busyness. Always in a hurry. No time or value of a questioning of why y'all as existing, duplicating it out of a being seen still in the first place. Wise exodus beyond drug, sex, and rock and roll. Well, it is understandable that y'all feel that way. You are seeing it from the perspective of the man on the street. This awakening, a YI awareness as X per I in seeing it will quickly, experiencing it will quickly percolate into the or Y of man's mind, or Y now, due to cosmic constellation, alignment of the lion opposite the man. The message of the Sphinx is macro, micro, cosmic memory restored. Array I stored in memory of a being seen, aware of that, free over any over freestanding over any understanding. A Y I star stare eye y'all in the first place, now appearing and gazing it out in a curvy as canoeing waves. Y'all our eyes, irradiating divinity of our eye, opening, awakening at 10. At attention of a binary eye, at attention to it we all turn into or out of one indivisible invisibility as cause of now, any knowing out of it. Turning out in words supernaturally superimposed as thoughts of it. Now, out here in her eyes of everybody, a single black body singularity of any denial of it, day in, day out. The Y in, the Y out. Deny DNA, a denial of it. A YI of it being seen still in the first place, now appearing and gazing it out as no knowing of it, projecting any inward denial of it. A curving black around a YI of a hermit merely appearing, gazing it, with intent of a polarity, a pairing of it on the one hand, a while of a YI appearing it, but on the other, from above as below. Of a being still freestanding in the first place, a YI appearing and gazing out now, as Ka now, are y'all as cosmic memory of it. That and a wealthy following makes for an expansive mission. Teaching teachers, just as my teacher taught me, perpetuates the wisdom of our eyes, domus, a being seen in the first place. Of that's a first, informas time as Zepatepi. inwardly all as a mystery. Array all of it, a why, in that I am building on a why I am awareness of a being seen merely appearing and gazing it in the first place, still indivisible invisibility of it. A building now of a perpetual bridges between a why I merely appearing and gazing it, or in the event of a crossing over of anybody now, asking of a why as ka now, knowing out of it, inward, turning into appearing information of it. Awareness, invisibility, still recognizing are y'all eyesing, realizing in anybody of a being seen in plain ordinary sight. A why being seen in form I's first endless beginningless time, now appearing out information in word, knowing, turning any thinking of it, why here in her eye of everybody, a why eye of a hermit, a free overstanding any understanding of it, opening from above as below, polarity in the one hand, a why eye of a hermit, hidden in plain ordinary sight of everybody, a why eye indivisible invisibility of anybody appearing on the one hand of a polarity, a while of splitting attention from appearing, a gazing it at it now carried away in a wordship of appearing out information, a worship of it, a being seen appearing and gazing out in word denial from above as below, Aken Aten. Awaking Aten. She held his gaze, irradiating the perception of it as cause of now, as ka, knowing, turning of it at attention, a binaries Aten, a being seen from above as below, still in the first place. We all awareness rolling and trolling supernaturally superimposed in Hermia as zany thoughts of her emit. A why stare, staring out inward as X you all. As X drugs and rock and roll, like I said. What makes it y'all go black around her emit polarity? Moore found himself cracking up. On the one hand, polarity. A while turning, churning, burning out of it, in a wily while, appearing in joy or sorrow, beginning and ends of a hermit polarity on the one hand, wealth or poverty, dominion or slavery, birth or death, on the other merely out in the or why still in a word freedom freestanding in why star, stare, eyes merely appearing and gazing it out from above as below. He laughed his as of freely realizing a being seen in anybody. A now, why now, a knowing out of it in word information of indivisible invisibility of any individual. The sheer absurdity of now as ka, knowing out of it y'all along. Knowing out a denial of it in plain sight of any or everybody. Why? Why deny that? That I am now as ka, knowing y'all along. Often of 10 a binary radiating everybody, asking of it, why now? Ask a turning out of it, a macro microcosmic mean of a being seen, a meaning of it still in a wise, any eye point of view of a why are y'all, are ideating, perceiving out of centrality of anybody appearing now a while, once in a while as two, appearing a pair in me or you out to be as X per I and seen, experiencing raising a little hell or high water, or from that point of view of you, of why overstanding, understanding, Ma's possibilities of desire from above. Hearing the sound of your words echoing waves rips me with feelings of an energy that can only be called a love bliss, zapping my heart and brain. Makes me feel, y'all. Page 266. Feeling you may be onto something, if not on something. Something called feeling, y'all. Fielding it in her eyes, I on Eve, body of love. Or put it another way, I'm feeling bathed in the radiance of love, the bliss of it. Hey, now, why y'all now coming or going still as expanding with your voice, still permeating me yet beyond me or you as memory. I'm completely zapped by y'all, baby cakes. More added, flipping the sketch page for a fresh sheet. You notice Christina back on the high chair, snuggling in her robe, legs stretched out, turned up collar covering the back of her neck. For a moment he saw her smoking a cigarette, but blinking realized it was only the way she had extended her fingers. About the smoke, he didn't think too much. Her gaze carried off to somewhere beyond the confines of any mere room. A being seen that I'm thankful for y'all in her eye, because we all turn into or out of potential lovers, in love of multidimensional quality, indivisible, invisibility of a quantum lack I body, a why I speak as a love best shared with others who have experienced it on many levels, expressions of L, out in her eye wave rays, desire of being seen to Father from above, or of Ab, a being of L, of a wave function of L, love in Ivre way, a why I worship, to be worshipped yet worshipping letterly, all as X, God still will remain merely mirror potential with intent of quantum gravity. A being seen, G's, us a weight of waiting for it. The sending of me is the mere beginning of you. That's the way out of it in her eye, a being seen well hidden in the wave ray body, fracting indivisible invisibility of a black around eye body, echoing as zany inward thoughts of it. She now always keep you waiting? Moore gave deadpan with his, a being in a word freedom expressionless artist face. She funny that way. The way of wavy gravy function. The waiting on it in her eye, merely appearing and gazing it at it. Ma's jest, why? Her funny action function. Me or you now out in a while, appearing out in her eyes, a memory of a being seen in her eye of Ivre body. The joke's on a why you're you in the first place. You're a funny little thing. The lotus and the shitstorm. You talking in the artist's eye, a why eye appearing, a gazing it word free. Then as cosmic eye, broadcasting a sound ab lack around, echoing into or out of now as ka, knowing out the wave ray body as cosmic mem or why I. Will sound of words translate into the scene as scenery or disappear into silence of the seer? Will Christina still array fract it as any thoughts of it appearing in word and forming of it in my retina? You, a being beaming Y, you're you as X, he added, seeing his arm and hand, continuing with fluid strokes following the contours of her electric field body. He felt in her eyes, zapping the charge, charging him from across the room. In that I am betting y'all do not need a hammer to hit a nail on the head. Seeing your painting of Adam and Eve at Corner's Place, I realized in that proverbial blink of eye that you were the artist for the mission of my submission. Now, about making a baby. Christina paused to slip off her robe and into black lace panties with nylon stockings. We all must keep turning that blood from y'all flowing down to your wounded knee, she offered, bending low, stretching back, and swiveling hips before sitting back on the high chair. She gave him a demure smile. The irony in Warrena's cast of me as Isis is that I am finding myself a link with that pre-Judaic, pre-Islamic, pre-Christian era. And I ray that I am believing has spawned the patriarch Abraham, spawned in the New Kingdom invention of a portable phonographic alphabet, the whole potential, God, Buka, the good book of being, Uka, a being seen denying to perceive of it existing of it, a being seen now out double, a duplication of a being seen now mirrored supernaturally turning into or out of thoughts, of knowing it out in word, any appearing of it in formation. She now gave him the full extension of lips in formation of El Luca de la Buca. Informing the first time now anybody could see a being seen merely appearing and gazing it out. Yet now out with ink as knowing thoughts of it appearing phonographically in word. Any or everybody in her eyesight as cosmic egg, in her eyes as a womb of a BC's, of a being seen in the first place now out in word as a boo, ba-uka, pa-per, paper, pa-per in cosmos possibilities. Is it a coincidence that Abraham is cast as a shepherd king, and Akhenaten carries a shepherd's crook as a sign of his kingly status? Ask king of it why that Akhenaten is considered, rightly or wrongly, the only monotheistic pharaoh at a time of a great exodus of monotheists from Egypt to Canaan. Is it a coincidence that Tut's tomb, miraculously left intact, offers archaeological evidence of objects eerily reminiscent of the tabernacle and Ark of the Covenant carried in the biblical Exodus? Is the Bible mere Egyptology? Most of all, the invention of the portable alphabet code facilitated writing, printing, and y'all the boop keys, the bullshit to come on and out of it. Y'all still appearing of that irreducible, irrefutable code. A 3,300 plus year old code that you broke like the existing buka that it is. Darkness, you now have fulfilled the Dharma cast in your name by that blessed crazy Kali Mama's evil. In here, her eye, a will of everybody appearing, disappearing, or out in her eye of everybody of a black bliss body. The darkness, in that I am loving you, as in a why eye appearing, a gazing it of you, your eye, point of view seen without knowing why, without any mere intent of appearing, a gazing it out inward, informing of it anybody, as awareness of a being seen still in the first place, indivisible invisibility of anybody. In other words, what is indeed here is there. What is there is here as well. Anybody seeing as any thoughts of it obtains death from death. In a being seen that I am in her eye, appearing and gazing it out now in word to testify of it. In knowing a time now of a mirror age of Aquarius, ABC's Alahuka, of a being seen now in a water mirror of it, a bearing continuous flow of it as cause of man as source or why of memory of a being seen of historic revelation, a time now to pull back to black everybody awareness of it as king of it, a why appearing at gazing it, a stillness point of why you're you, now at attention of a why a unhooking the veil, a lifting of the disguise of 33 centuries to reveal the source or eye of the hour, Ator Urota, our a being seen invisibility, a being seen now turning as Ka, knowing out of it any inward formation of it, of Alpha Beta. In the beginning is the Word, the beginning of religion, philosophy, science,